The day your account hits zero is not the end. It is actually the beginning of your best chapter, the beginning of the trader you are about to become, the beginning of everything you thought trading was supposed to be, but could never access while you still had money. This is genuinely an opportunity. I know that sounds backwards. It is. But it is also true. And if you are sitting there right now, staring at a zero balance, feeling like a complete failure, I have been there. I was at zero. In the early years of my career, I hit zero many times. So I am going to tell you how zero can rebuild traders from scratch. Let me show you something most traders never see. That zero is not a gravestone. It is a starting line. And what you do in the next 30 days will determine whether you become one of the few who make it or one of the many who walk away with expensive regret. You will determine this. Do not forget that. Let me tell you about David. He was a smart guy. He saved $8,000 over 2 years specifically for trading, read the books, took the courses, practiced on demo, did everything the right way, started with a plan. He had practically sworn to risk 1% per trade. He reminded himself he should never revenge trade. Just follow the plan and strategy. Simple, clear. And for the first 3 months, it worked. He was up $1,200, felt like a genius, felt like he finally cracked the code. And that is when the money started lying to him. Money might be lying to you too. Here is what David believed when he had $8,000 in his account. He believed he had an edge because his account was growing. He believed he knew something and was doing it right. But the truth was he was at the very beginning of everything and had no idea about the invisible part of the iceberg yet. It was too early. He believed his strategy worked because some trades were winning. This is a common fallacy and becomes the hidden enemy of most traders. He believed he was disciplined because he was following most of his rules most of the time. And he believed that the reason he was making money was because he understood the market. Every single one of those beliefs was wrong, but the money in his account told him they were right. Money is a liar. It hides your problems behind a growing balance. It lets you think sloppy execution is fine as long as the outcome is profit. It protects your ego from seeing what you are actually doing, and David could not see any of this. Because he still had money. Money allowed him to keep believing the lie, but it would not last long. Month 4. Everything changed, not because the market changed, because David did. He started risking 2% instead of 1%. He was fooling himself, saying just on the high probability setups. But there was no clear criterion that distinguished high probability setups from others. He was deciding this himself. This was an example of lack of discipline, of course, but the rest were also undisciplined behaviors disguised as discipline anyway. He just had not realized it yet. Then 3%. Then he moved a stop once. Just once. The trade came back, and he won. He was sure he had done the right thing. He thought he was right. He should take initiative and move the stop if necessary. His brain learned something devastating. When you get lucky, rules can be optional now. He started revenge trading after losses, just to get back to even for the day. And in the beginning, this worked. He started checking his account every 10 minutes. He started making decisions based on, I am up $200 right now instead of did my setup hit target. And his account started bleeding. Slowly at first, then faster. And the entire time he told himself he was still following his plan. He was just adapting, being flexible, responding to market conditions. Money was still there, just less of it. So the problems continued to stay invisible, but they could not stay invisible forever. 6 months in, David's account went from $8,000 to zero in 1 week. This happened very quickly, and it was not difficult at all. All the necessary conditions for this to happen had already been established. Just a few things needed to go wrong in succession. And they did. 4 revenge trades took the entire account. Price continued to collapse instead of turning back this time, and David got stopped out. 3 moved stops, 2 overleveraged positions, 1 margin call, gone. And when the dust settled and he was staring at that zero, something happened that money had been preventing for 6 months. He saw the truth. He was not actually disciplined and never had been. He never had a real edge. His strategy did not fail. He could not execute the strategy because there was not even a clear strategy in the first place. The market did not take his money. He gave it away through hundreds of small decisions that felt justified at the time, but were actually just ego protection and loss aversion and fear disguised as trading. The zero did not lie. The zero showed him exactly what he had been doing. And that is the first gift of zero. Clarity. Zero should allow you to see clearly what happened. If you reach zero and blame the market, nothing will come from it. But if you can look in the mirror without fear, zero is actually the opportunity to be created from scratch. Know its value. Every trader goes through zero. This is inevitable. Those who are willing to learn and change are the ones who will encounter opportunities to meet other levels. The others will quit after their 17th zero. Decide which side you want to be on and act accordingly. If you want to be on this side, you need to talk to mirrors a lot. There is no easy and non-uncomfortable way to do this. You think you can guess how it will be. But no, you actually do not really know. It can be much harder and more uncomfortable than you could guess. But the reward is equally great. It is a great blessing that very few people can really access and experience. Most traders waste this gift. They see it as a curse, not a gift. And however you see it, it will continue that way. So start from zero, knowing it is a blessing. Most traders respond to zero in 3 ways, and 2 of them are guaranteed paths to failure. First response: quit. I am not cut out for this. Those who accept this and move on are the most common. I tried and I failed, and that is it. Walk away bitter. Blame the market. Blame the strategy. Blame bad luck. Never admit that the person in the mirror was the problem. This is wasting $8,000 of tuition. Second response: reload immediately with the same approach. It was just bad luck. My strategy is fine. I just need more capital. I will be more careful this time. Then blow the second account in 3 months doing exactly the same things, because nothing actually changed except the balance. This is paying the same tuition twice. Third response: stop. Analyze what actually happened. Admit the brutal truth. Face it. Face yourself over and over. Enter all your dark rooms. Meet all your shadows. Embrace what makes you uncomfortable. Do everything that falls to you. And watch what happens next. You need to remember who you are. You need to see who you really are, with all your good and bad sides. You have to. And rebuild as a completely different trader. This is the only response that turns $8,000 of pain into $8,000 of education. David chose the third response, and 6 months later he had become a consistently profitable trader. Not because he found a better strategy, because he was a different person. Strategy matters. But until you solve the things you need to solve before getting to strategy, strategy becomes irrelevant. Handle everything else and combine it with strategy. Here is what David realized sitting at zero that he could not see when he had money. First, money was making him trade outcome-focused instead of process-focused. When he had $8,000, every trade was about making money or not losing money. When he had zero, there was nothing to make and nothing to lose. Only execution quality remained. Just following the plan or not following the plan. The outcome pressure disappeared because there was no outcome to protect anymore. Second, his ego was attached to his account balance. When he had money, he was a trader with $8,000. When he lost it, he felt like he lost his identity. But that identity was actually fake. It was based on a number that could disappear in a week. At zero, he had to build a real identity, not based on balance, based on who he was when no one was watching and there was nothing to prove. Third, he was trading to get back to even. Every losing day created a target for the next day. I need to make back $200. And that target overrode his strategy. At zero, there was no even to get back to. No arbitrary number his ego demanded he hit. Just the next trade. Just the next day. Clean. Fourth, money allowed him to avoid admitting he did not actually have rules. Money can justify any process. He thought he did. But when he tried to write them down in a way that someone else could verify, he realized how vague they were. Take good setups. What is good? Follow the strategy. Which part? When he had money, vague was fine because the balance told him he was doing okay, and he thought he had no choice but to believe this. At zero, vague was exposed as the excuse it always was. Fifth, he never really understood his edge because he never had to. Some trades won. That felt like edge. But he could not explain why they won. He could not predict which ones would win before they happened. He just took trades that looked right and hoped. When he had money, hope worked sometimes. At zero, hope was revealed as gambling. These 5 truths were always there. Money just hid them. Zero exposed them. And now David could actually fix them, because the time for confrontation had come. There was an opportunity in front of him, and by choosing the right option, he entered his dark rooms. He realized his inadequacies. He admitted his luck had been on his side. He had not won with skill. Seeing and accepting all this told him what he needed to work on, and now he could work on them refreshed. He was ready to do what fell to him. Here is how David rebuilt. And this is where most traders who hit zero make their second mistake. They think rebuilding means getting money and trying again. No, it does not. Rebuilding means succeeding at becoming someone new before touching money again. This is the most important thing. Do not expect new results without being someone new. Step 1. David went back to demo. Yes, demo. He went back to what he thought he was beyond, and he did not use it to test strategies. He used it to test himself. Can I follow my plan for 30 days straight when there is zero pressure? Can I execute the same way on day 30 as day 1? Can I be disciplined when it does not matter? Most traders cannot. I still have times when I struggle with this. Most traders think demo is beneath them. Their ego says, I already know how to trade, I just need capital. Wrong. If you cannot trade well in demo, you will not trade well with real money. Demo reveals whether you have actual discipline or just good intentions. David spent 2 months in demo, not learning to trade. Learning to be the trader who could execute. Of course, being able to trade in demo did not mean he could do it in reality, but if he could not do it in demo, there was no chance he could do it in reality. So he started from here. Step 2. He wrote actual rules, not guidelines, not principles. Binary rules. If X, then Y. No discretion, no maybe. No, it depends. For example, not I will take good setups, but I will only take a trade if price closes above the 20-period moving average, RSI is between 40 and 60, and volume is above average. Clear. Verifiable things. No room for I think this is probably good enough. If the criteria are not met, the trade does not exist. This removed 90% of the trades he used to take. Revenge trades. Trades that emerged because of fear of missing out. That this looks pretty good trades. Only setups that met every single criterion. This felt restrictive. That was the point. Restriction creates discipline. Freedom creates chaos. Freedom may not be as beneficial as we think in terms of trading. Same with comfort. We must create discipline by restricting. Our energy and time are also limited. We will create ways to use all of these in the best way. Step 3. He decided his risk per trade before he had any money to risk. Not 1%, 0.5%. Why? Because when he got his next account, it would be small. Maybe $500, maybe $1,000. And 0.5% of a small account feels like nothing. $2.50. $5. His ego would scream and go crazy that he was wasting time. It would tell him justifiably that he would never make money risking that little, and that would be the test. Can you execute perfectly when the trade feels meaningless? Have you progressed that far? Have you reached that level? Because if you cannot, you will over-leverage when it feels important, like the others. And then you will blow up again. Small risk is not about growing the account slowly. Small risk is about building the identity of a trader who does not need the outcome, about doing this persistently, about being able to feel the same after the 10th trade as the first trade, whether you won or lost those 10 trades. Step 4. He picked one setup, not 5, not 10. 1. The clearest, highest probability pattern in his strategy, and he committed to only trading that one setup for 3 months. There was no variety, and he did not need it anyway. No, but this other pattern is setting up perfectly. One setup, repetition. He entered the path to mastery. Single setup, single pair, single session range. He knew he did not need more than that. This gave him the opportunity to make a difference. Most traders jump between patterns because they are bored or because they are chasing. They think more setups equals more opportunity. It does not. More setups equals more mistakes. One setup executed perfectly beats 10 setups executed sloppily. David became a specialist. And specialization is what separates professionals from gamblers. Step 5. He committed to rebuilding slow, not days, not weeks, months. He opened a small account, $500. And he told himself, this account is not for making money. This account is for proving I am different. The goal was not profit. The goal was perfect execution for 90 days. If he broke a rule, the streak reset. Day 1 again. This was agonizing. He made it to day 43 and broke a rule. Back to day 1. Made it to day 61. Broke a rule. Back to day 1. It took him 5 months to hit 90 consecutive days of perfect execution. Not perfect trades. Perfect execution. Following his plan exactly even when trades lost. Even when he wanted to revenge trade. Even when he wanted to size up. 5 months. And on day 91, something shifted. Discipline was not effort anymore. It was automatic. He did not have to fight himself to follow rules. He just did. Because he was not the same person who blew $8,000. He was someone new. Step 6. Only after 90 days did he start increasing size. Slowly. From 0.5% to 0.75%. Then 1%. Over months, not weeks. Every increase had to be earned with 30 more days of perfect execution. No shortcuts. No. I have been doing this for a while, so I can skip ahead. Slow, methodical, boring. And that boring approach is what made him profitable, because he built from zero with zero ego, with zero attachment to outcome, with zero need to prove anything, just execution, just process, just showing up every day and doing exactly what he said he would do. 6 months after hitting zero. David's new account was at $2,000. He had risked small. He had executed perfectly. He had made mistakes, but never broke his rules. And for the first time in his trading career, he felt calm. Not because he was winning every trade, but because he knew exactly what he was doing and why. His edge was clear. His execution was consistent. His psychology was stable. And none of that was possible when he had $8,000, because the $8,000 let him fake it. The zero forced him to build it for real. If you are at zero right now, here's what I need you to understand. You did not fail. You paid tuition. Expensive tuition. But every profitable trader paid it. Some paid more. Some paid less. But they all paid. The ones who make it are not the ones who never blew an account. They are the ones who use zero as a mirror instead of a grave. You now know exactly what not to do. You know your triggers. You know your weaknesses. You know what breaks you. That knowledge cost you everything. Do not waste it. Your next account will not be $8,000. It will be small, and your ego will hate that. Good. Let it hate it. You are not building a balance. You are building an identity. The identity of a trader who can execute perfectly whether they have $50 or $50,000. Start and demo. Write binary rules. Pick one setup. Risk tiny. Rebuild slow. And prove for 90 days straight that you are not who you used to be. Then and only then add money. Then and only then increase size. Do it right this time. Not fast. Right. 6 months from now, you will look back at the day you hit zero, and if you do this correctly, you will not see it as your worst day. You will see it as the day everything actually started. The day the lies stopped. The day the truth became visible. The day you stopped pretending to be a trader and started becoming one. Zero is not your ending. Zero is your beginning. Welcome to your best chapter.